Many of us are walking around with wounds that we didn't make and even burdens that we shouldn't even have to carry, but the burden of healing will always be on you. Welcome to the Zen. I'm T Monet. If you have watched a previous video of mine, then welcome back, old souls. But if this is a new video for you, welcome in, new souls. Today's crystal is Spirit Quartz. Spirit Quartz helped you a lot with spiritual healing, mental healing, emotional healing, but especially your inner child healing, like really getting deep within those wounds and clearing your emotions out. All walking around living lives that pain became, because unhealed pain just becomes a life that you live. Whether it's going to be your thoughts, your beliefs, and it's going to fuel your actions and even your values. You are responsible for those things. Even though you're not responsible for that trauma or that pain, you are responsible for healing it. The inner child is a spiritual concept of all of your core beliefs and even memories that have been imprinted onto you. They become the stories that you end up living. So I've heard many stories. I've heard people's stories that overcame their own traumas that could have made them who they are, but they didn't allow it to make them who they are. And then I've heard stories where people allowed that pain and allowed those traumas to make them who they are. Those people end up hurting people. And to be honest, you have to blame them because the trauma isn't and shouldn't be yours to carry, but it is yours to heal. So recently I've been going through it because I realized that I have to be both the mother and father that I wish I had growing up. Spent my whole childhood being a parent to everybody around me, not just my parents, but even my siblings. And then my siblings had children and I spent time being a parent to them. And it all came to a head recently having a conversation with one of my little sisters where she apologized to me for something that she did that was very hurtful. I've always been the parent, the mother, and the father that a lot of people need in their lives. Even with my friends, I noticed myself often taking on a maternal or even a paternal figure depending on what they needed. And it was exhausting until I finally decided to put myself first. How can I be a parent to everybody else and I can't even be a parent to myself? And she recently admitted to me that after apologizing for how much she hurt me, she admitted that she was holding on to the guilt and the shame so much because she realized she had been seeking so much validation from our own mother and father that she realized this whole time I had been a mother to her. It made me cry. She's not the first sibling of mine to say, you're like a mom, or you're basically my mother. That's what they say. They don't even say you're like a mother. They say, you are my mother. You raised me. And it's a burden to carry, but also it hurt upon reflection when I realized I don't have anybody in my life I can say that about. I don't have any maternal figure in my life that I've ever felt like was supportive emotionally for me in ways that I needed. And I don't have any paternal figure in my life that I felt like, same thing, emotionally or even financially, I could rely on you. I've lived my life always having to be hyper independent, both emotionally and financially. There were times where I did have to rely on my parents and I did ask, but that only happened recently in my adulthood. As a child, never. I was always afraid to ask. I thought I had grown out of that mindset until I realized that idea that I refuse to even ask. I will figure it out myself. I have to figure it out myself. Is something that I still hold on to because it is an inner child wound that I just never healed. Because I thought I did heal, but I'm not. And I'm only now healing when now I'm reparenting myself and telling myself the things I need to hear, the things I wished I heard growing up. I've achieved so much in my life, and I was always so hard on myself when I had hard times because nobody ever celebrated my success. I felt like there was always this expectation for me to be so great, and I've lived up to it, and I never received any acknowledgement or recognition for that. and it was hard. But I realized I shouldn't be seeking their acknowledgement. I shouldn't be seeking the acknowledgement and the validation from the same people I don't feel supported by. They shouldn't acknowledge it because you didn't help me get here. I had to do it on my own. And that's the fact of the matter. I had to be the mother that patted my back when I was crying myself to sleep. I had to be the mother that told myself it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let go. Those friends aren't for you. Those people aren't for you. I had to do that. And I had to be my own father figure. The one who made sure everything was always all right. The one who was the superhero and always showed up for myself. The one who made sure that I always succeeded and was ambitious and went after the things that I really, really wanted to do. Made sure that I was financially responsible and disciplined and just literate. The thing that I realized is, especially when reparenting yourself, it's acknowledging that it's okay to feel like your parents did not show up for you in the way that you needed them to. I tried having conversations with my parents about it. It never goes well. But I also realized I don't need to have a conversation because they weren't there. They're never going to see themselves wrong because they believe that what they did was right. And that's their perspective. That's okay. It's not mine. And I can say that, and that's okay. Even though it hurts, it's still okay. Let it hurt. Be in pain. I spent a long time being angry where I'm not even angry anymore. It's just, now I don't look at them as a parent. I just look at them as adults, other adults, and I move accordingly. And I want to say, my birth chart set me up for this. I am a Cancer sun, Capricorn rising. And I'm going to go by my sidereal placements because I feel like those really hit home. But I'm also Cancer North Node, Capricorn, South Node. Yeah, and I have a Capricorn, 2 Capricorn placements, additional to, it's just a lot. I'm filled with a lot of Cancer Capricorn. And a lot of people like to say Capricorn is the father because they say Saturn is the father of astrology, but I disagree. Capricorn is the feminine side. The sun is traditionally the father. So I realized I've actually been balancing a lot of my own femininity and being in tune with myself, being the mother and the crone. Skip the maiden phase completely, and I wish I had one, but that's okay. I'm reparenting the maiden that lives inside of me. And I've gotten with someone who's also been looking to my 4th house placements for where I really need to feel loved, but also where I need to reparent myself the most. And I have Saturn, Taurus, 4th house. And I was like, wow, no wonder why my sense of stability, my sense of safety, my sense of security, my values, why they've always felt so restricted, especially around my home life, around my family, around my childhood. Saturn is right there. And I think it's important that you guys also look at your 4th house placements to really get deep and in tune with, how things may be affecting your inner child in your childhood home and those memories, but also look at your moon sign to look at the relationship you have with your mother, and look at your sun sign. Oh yeah, I know that's going to throw people for a loop, but look at your sun sign to see the relationship you may have had with your father. So my advice to you when trying to heal your inner child and really get to it first would be, speak to yourself in a way that you wish your parents did. Even speak to the people around you in the way that you wished your parents did, and surround yourself around other people that treat you the way you wish your parents did. I promise you it will be so healing. I recently have been around people where I'm like, we don't have the same trauma, but we do come from traumatic backgrounds and we all are working through it, and that's good. I've been around people where we had the same traumas and they always end terribly. So now I'm glad to be around people where it's like we don't have the same life experiences, we don't have the same traumatic backgrounds, but we do have the same mindset in, well, this is my burden to carry and my burden to heal, and I'm doing the work. And it has been so healing, realizing the way they are and the way that they show up is the way that I wished my parents had, and it has been so healing. The second thing that I would tell you to do is create boundaries and routines that you wish you had, and structures, especially in my adulthood. I work a lot with, first, I have a lot of 6th house placements in tropical astrology. So I work with those daily routines and getting myself like really not structured, but I do go with a flow and try to find a way to find a routine, put around boundaries and, you know, structures that work for me and making sure I stick to them. And this has been helping me a lot ever since I had plants and having pets. Like, I have to be routined. And it has been helping so much because for my pets, and even my plants, I am showing up for them in the way that I wish my parents did. And there are some things that I do that remind me of my own parents where I'm like, I need to heal this now. I need to do this now because I wouldn't want to be parented that way. I didn't want to be parented that way. So I'm not going to parent my own pets and babies that way. They're my children. I won't do that. And in order to do that, you're going to have to do the work in identifying what your younger self really, really, truly needed to receive as a child. That's going to have to happen. Do journaling. Like, really ask yourself. I say the way I journal is like Mondays is moon day. So sometimes I will focus on going through the way I hate it, but I have to journal about the relationship that I had with my mother and how it's affecting my emotions and the way that I emote, the way that I emotionally regulate. It has been helping me reflect, and there's a lot that I actually learned. There have been memories that come up that I didn't even remember, that I'm like, I didn't remember, but it was deeply affecting my psyche. It was important because it showed me things that I realized I needed, but it also showed me part of what I needed was to truly let that go. And so try to do that work, especially try to do that work and recognizing what it was you needed, because those are probably the same things you still need, but it might be showing up differently now that you're an adult. And if you watch this video all the way through, I want you guys to comment down to me what your relationship was like with your parents and what areas you feel like you have been reparenting yourself or you want to start reparenting yourself. And make sure y'all comment spirit crystals if you watch the video all the way through. But you guys have been zen. I will see you in the next one.